Alright guys, Tactical Bit here today, and I wanted to discuss some criticism that I have of the CWL Las Vegas event. If you've watched the last videos over the last couple of days, you'll know that I'm relatively positive about the event overall. I think it was a fantastic spectator experience, but there were a couple of issues that I think the excitement of the last couple of days did overshadow to some extent. A lot of people were talking about being issues on the the Thursday and the Friday, so I wanted to get back to those things today. Firstly, I wanted to say that all the comments you had on the last video saying that you'd really like to see some gameplay analysis, I'll definitely look into that. University before Christmas finishes this Friday. I've got a couple of things due in. Then after that, I'll be back at home, so you'll have a change of scenery in the background. No more green wall, blue wall instead. And then I'll try and do some analysis on some of the most exciting games we saw, particularly the Optic hardpoint comebacks. I think that's what a lot of people want to see, whether you're an Optic fan or not. So I'll try and do my best on that. I'll try and figure out a good way to do it. But, I need to have some more time before I can jump straight into doing something like that. So today I want to talk about some criticisms. Criticism is always appreciated as long as it's constructive, I think, in any form, especially on my channel as well. If you have some qualms about things I do or some suggestions or anything like that, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. You guys are fantastic at leaving comments and having good discussions down there. So yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for that, and the support on the latest videos has been fantastic as well. But let's jump into this. Like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. And as you can see, Gandhi says here, some of you guys, or quite a lot of you guys, may be familiar with Gandhi from way back in the day when he used to be a Call of Duty caster. And, he was watching this weekend. It's so hard for my old man eyes to read the Black Ops 4 spectator modes. Maven replies to him saying they 100% need to tweak font and ratios of some of the HUD elements. I think there'll be a major feedback session after this event. So a lot of you guys may have noticed the CoDCaster is not the easiest thing to decipher. And, there have been some funny memes on Reddit this week. This is one in particular. These new eye exams are getting out of hand, and right at the bottom we have the CoDCaster, the HUD, I guess you could say, for Black Ops 4. So definitely some issues here, and I think overall it's just really hard to see what's going on. I really want to see the kills and deaths of the players, and all the other statistics and everything there to see is great, but it's really not organized in the best way. I don't mind having all the information there as long as the most important bits of information are the most clear. So if we look at the current version we have in the game right now, you can see this at the top. This is one suggestion that someone at I'mDev gave on Reddit. I'll link all the related stuff down below here. And, this is what it currently looks like. We have the specialist being used in the top left, the player name, the health bar, of course. These three boxes represent the score streaks. So if you get your first score streak, this lights up yellow, second score streak, third score streak. At the top here, this is your specialist progression. So this is the specialist progression for your main weapon. This would be like your Tempest in the case of Dashi, of course. And then this would be your progression towards the Seeker drone, but they don't use that in competitive. So that's what that means. And then down here, you have the kills and deaths, which is way too small in my opinion. Then I believe this is a kill streak that you're currently on, and then this is maybe objective points or something like that. That's what I'm assuming, or like objective kills or something like that. And one thing to note, first of all, is that the font definitely isn't optimal. Like, the 0 does not look like a 0. It has, like, the line across it. I really don't see why they thought this was necessary. Like, it's tough to tell from a distance whether this is an 8, whether this is a 6. Sometimes I'll see someone, it looks like they're 10 in 15, and then bam, they switch to, like, 20 in 15, because it was actually a 9, but it looked like a 0. So that definitely needs a tweak. And I feel like, overall, the fonts and stuff need to be changed drastically here. I really like this guy's suggestion of greying out the boxes when a player dies, because in Search and Destroy, it's very difficult to have a quick glance and find out how many players are left alive unless you look in the middle of the screen to show you like how many players on each side, which is handy, but it's not the optimal way to look at things, because you see the crosses, but because it's still green, it's tough to tell which guys are alive. But this, you can see very visually that, okay, it's 3 guys on Optic are left pumping. So I think that's a fantastic suggestion. I also think that I don't mind this at the top with the specialist progression, but I definitely feel like the kills and deaths should be by far the most important factor on the scoreboard. Like, the health is fine, but these KDs need to be much bigger. I feel like you could easily just shift up the numbers here up to underneath the health bar, and then you could put like, these 3 dots here, I don't know why they have to take up so much space. You could put those 3 little dots probably in this section up here. You could probably just make these tiny bit smaller, move them up a little bit, or even put the 3 dots next to the player's head, for example. You could have 3 little dots there that light up yellow once they have the kill streaks, and that's all the observer needs to see to know that they have kill streaks, and okay, let's have a look at them. We don't need all this space here, and these words could be so much bigger, and these symbols are almost useless at this point because you have no idea what you're looking at unless you're watching in 1080p on a bloody 60-inch plasma, you know. So there has been a few alternatives. I saw this, Miner posted this about 10 days ago now, and I don't know whether you guys would prefer this, because I do kind of like the extra information. I like to be able to see things, but I think it should just be organised in a better way. I really like, this is kind of Overwatch inspired, but I really like how it's so clean, how you can see the numbers so efficiently here, and obviously, you know, there's maybe a better way to focus on which players are dead and which players are alive. You see the ticks next to the name to show they have their specialist ready. I thought this was really clean, personally. The only problem with it is it's hard point, but Envy's up 1-0 in the series, so it should actually be search and destroy. That's really my only issue with this. It'd be nice also to have a scoreboard over here on the right, but Miner did say that, you know, it would take too much time to actually Photoshop that in. But yeah, I wonder what your guys' thoughts are on something like this. Bevel's also actually made a tweet related to this topic. Maven says, I like many of the changes, but, you know, it's difficult to know where to put his damn eyes, and Bevel's actually tweets out this scoreboard from Miner here. And this is another option. I'll link this down below as well off some guy on Reddit. I'll make sure to credit him in the description. And yeah, so effectively what he says is kind of similar to what I had, where these numbers are much bigger. Your kills, your deaths, your kill streak, or something like that. Maybe that should even be a different color so you can differentiate it from the kill death department. And yeah, I think honestly what's here on the left is much better than what we have on the right. These KD should definitely be a much bigger part of the action than they are in the current state. So, moving on from the CoDCaster, we have the casting of streams. This weekend there was quite a lot of complaints about the fact that the open stream had like 4 casters, like they had at least 3 casters on the desk. Brycey, Ton, Dirk, Blaze, and maybe I'm missing someone, but I think those 4 were generally dealing with that stream. And they had their own desk, they were dealing with the open bracket stuff. But then, Bravo stream didn't even have casters at times, until like Championship Sunday I believe they had some casters, but even then I'm not even sure if they ever did. I was watching on multi-stream, so I never really had the streams unmuted to tell, but I feel like the casting was definitely a little bit off in terms of, the casting was quality in terms of the individual performances of the casters, but I definitely thought that the way it was organised could have been a lot better. So Adam does say that hear you loud and clear on the uncasted streams. Of course, they have crazy amount of teams in the game, really difficult to stream everything, but I don't think people were asking to stream everything, or to cast everything even. People were just asking for Bravo to be casted, you know, instead of the open bracket teams where Teddy Rex is beating up on amateurs, and no one really cares about. Of course, that's obviously preparation for the next tournaments where where the open bracket is its own separate tournament in its entirety, but when you've got so much talent around, it would make sense to have at least some of that focused on the Bravo stream, and I think that was a complaint of some people. Also, adding on to this, the EG versus Reciprocity match in Losers, as I alluded to the other day, it was not on stream, and it was also not even in the vicinity for fans to watch. It was played behind stage, which definitely is not something that should happen. Also, I believe the LP versus Envy match, I'm not sure whether that was streamed, because I've heard Dave talking about that he got a really sick like 9-piece with the Tempest, but no one's ever going to be able to see it because it either wasn't streamed or it wasn't casted, or he's mentioned that a couple of times. There was another Reddit post to follow this up. We'd rather have Bravos on, our casters on Bravo Charlie Delta over the open bracket. And yeah, that seems to be the general thoughts of the community here. So one thing I wanted to touch on briefly was the Tempest. Now, it has been nerfed since what I was talking about yesterday, but I think it was still by far and away the strongest specialist. I don't know exactly what they should do to nerf it. I think reducing the ammo count is one thing. This is one thing I wanted to point out over at the Black Ops 4 subreddit. Have a look at this. Not the best quality, of course, but yeah, you see the Annihilator, it definitely misses every bullet when you shoot kind of near the guy. You pull out the Tempest, bang. You don't even need to hit the guy, and the shot will still connect due to the huge blast radius. Added to the fact that you can hip fire it super consistently, and you have 14 shots, now it's 10 shots. But still, I think it was definitely too strong in the state of Vegas. They have done a couple of nerfs, which I'll cover in a couple of days. One of which was reducing the ammo count to 10. The other one was, I believe, to nerf what we just saw here, where you have to be more accurate with it. I definitely think maybe some tweaks still need to be made. The fact that it can't be stopped by trophy systems or Tac Mask isn't really much of a counter. It means you take less damage from the shot and you get up quicker afterwards, but it still chains to your teammate. I think someone commented on yesterday's video saying that if you had Tac Mask, prevents it from chaining to your teammates, or if you have Tac Mask, you cannot get chained from one of your teammates. That would be a relatively good nerf, because I think most of the specialists aren't that ridiculous, but the Tempest definitely stood out this weekend, and I'm not saying that because Dashi was a god with it. Definitely a lot of other people were really strong with it. Someone even said that I just want to nerf it so that European teams can do better. So I wanted to try and disprove that to some extent by showing this clip of Dave here getting this crazy clip with the Tempest against Team Sween. Apparently he had an even much better one against Envy, as I said, and he even replies to this comment. But yeah, he was, look at that shot there. He was just shredding fools with it. It's not the hardest thing to use, and look how many shots he has. Like, he still has 4 shots left at this point. The only reason why he stopped using it is because it runs out of juice, and he has to use his Maddox, and he still gets a nasty 2-piece with that. So definitely I thought it was a little bit too strong, and yeah, Lightning Panda's closed out this game. Hopefully you guys enjoy me showing a few more clips here and there when they are relevant. So a couple of things I wanted to mention before I leave you for today. Ranked play. A lot of people have been commenting on my videos lately mentioning, like, where is ranked play, man? And I honestly couldn't tell you. I think they said now that it might be coming at the start of January, which in my opinion is pathetic. Like, the game launched in October. They've been developing this thing for what, 3 years? Like, and we can't even get a ranked playlist that's meant to be just like the Black Ops 2 system that everyone was hyped for at announcement. Really pretty ridiculous. It was meant to come out in at Vegas time, but now I have no idea. It should come at the start of January, I guess. They keep postponing it. I don't see how hard it can be to just copy and paste from Black Ops 2. I can't tell you more than that, but that seems to be what I'm hearing for now, that it's going to come start of January time. And one last suggestion that I saw was quite funny on Reddit: petition to bring back the old MLG Monster Cat playlist. This may actually be more of a complaint for some of you guys than for me at least, but I do kind of find that when I'm watching the CWL, between maps, I want some really hype music, man. I want some of that Monster Cat stuff, or I want some like 80s rock music or something like that that's going to get me hyped up for the next map. Hearing the little twiddles in the background, like, it just ruins my vibe, you know. So as a very minor complaint, the music was actually a thing that I hope they do something about. They have kind of the same playlist of World War II. I definitely think that some of the songs, you know, that the hype needs to be there, man. That's what we watch it for, the production value, and definitely that's kind of lacking. But anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say for today. Leave your comments down below. I'm sure there'll be some interesting ones on this. These are kind of my criticisms of the event. Definitely it was a fun event overall, and I enjoyed watching it for sure, but definitely some things that could be tweaked to make Call of Duty or Call of Duty Black Ops 4 even better to watch as the year goes forward. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, and I'll see you next time.